Hey everybody, welcome to Hoosier Life. I'm Mark. I'm out in the shop. It's after work, and I just thought I'd check in because, like many of you across the Midwest and the South, we had some pretty terrible weather last night. And just gonna shout out to my friend down there in Florida, Ricky Wallace of Wallace Knife Works. You can check him out on YouTube. He very kindly checked in with me right before everything broke loose, and I was like, "Dude, we're under a tornado warning." I didn't call him dude. I have more respect than that. But I said, "We're under a tornado warning," and didn't reply to him for a little bit after that. And he was very kind to check in on me, and I'm doing okay. We had some very severe weather just to the west of us, and I mean, when I say west, less than 15 miles to the west. I could see it from my front porch, and it was violent weather. It overturned three semis driving down the highway. If you look at northern Indiana, US 30 is the main east-west highway through my neck of the woods, and they had to shut it down completely due to the carnage. So if you look up Bourbon, like the drink, Bourbon, Indiana, you'll see that is right to the west of me, and they really took the brunt of the severe weather. So we're doing good. A lot of our neighbors have damage, and so when stuff like this happens across the country, a lot of people have a lot of questions, and a lot of questions that don't have answers. And I'm not going to act like I have answers, but it prompted me to think of another incident that I just thought I'd share. I just want to document it for my kids and grandkids. But a lot of people will have questions and will say, why did God allow that? Or God must be angry or whatever, and I don't know. I think it's just Mother Nature, to be honest with you. Spring weather is always kind of volatile in the north and in Indiana. And I do believe God's in control, but it's the weather patterns He has set in motion. So I don't normally do any kind of religious type videos, but I want to share something with you from about, let's see, it's 2025, going on about 11, 12 years ago now. My wife and I and our three youngest children were living in Cambodia, and I was part of an organization that focused on the anti-human trafficking cause. I was working undercover for a while, and then I went on to become what they called the project manager of all of the properties that this particular organization had in the capital city of Cambodia, which is Phnom Penh. And the way I got around, we did not own a car. And it's really interesting in a third world country how easy it is to get around, actually. Much easier than the States. But in Cambodia, they have tuk-tuks, which is like a little moped that is pulling generally a single axle, two wheels, buggy, for lack of a better word. And if you Google tuk tuk, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So that was one of our primary ways of getting around. The other way was I had what we called a moto. In the States, it would probably be called like a moped kind of thing, a little 125. Very prevalent in Asian countries and third world countries, those types of vehicles. And that, I had my own personal moto that I would drive. And one of the properties, our main property, where we got to be careful what I say because I still have friends working over there. But one of the main properties where we would house the survivors of human trafficking. So these were all minors that we focused on, 18 years and younger, was outside of the capital city in a province that probably took by moto, probably took a half hour, 45 minutes to drive. So you can, I think I could probably do on mine, I might be able to do 35 miles an hour. So that kind of gives you the idea how far out. It wasn't super far out, but we had to cross the river, and it was a ways out. And there's a point to this story. I have to set it up. So traffic in third world countries is crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And if you search on YouTube about the traffic in Cambodia, you will see, much like India, there really isn't any traffic pattern. I mean, people just drive how you want to drive. They do drive like in the US, you know, you're on the right side of the road and oncoming's on the left side of the road. But you might have 3-4 vehicles wide, could be even more than that when you have motos in there. And it's basically everyone is cautious and polite, and you can walk across these major thoroughfares and not be hit. If you walk slowly, traffic will just merge around you, and you can see videos like that. I have some videos, but I'm not going to post them on here. So one day I was out at this primary property and interacting with those who were there, and we had a staff that was there and kind of helping them, and we were teaching them English and giving them medical support and teaching them trades and things like that so they could reintegrate back into society. And it was probably 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and I had to get back to the capital city, Phnom Penh. So I took off. And on this particular highway, lots of big trucks, buses, cars, motos, just crazy traffic. And I was very confident at this time riding in that traffic. It took a bit to get used to, but I was pretty confident at this time. And I remember, you know, just you're just caught up in it, you know, and it was like rush hour, just vehicles everywhere, lots of horns blowing. The assault on the senses is so crazy. It was super hot. The dust was in my face. I had a helmet on, but I would have to crack the visor because it was so hot, and so a lot of dust, and the heat coming off the vehicles around you, just nuts. So I'm heading back towards the city on this highway that's very dusty, and the shoulders just go right in. This goes right in the dirt, like a sandy dirt. And you know, if you're on a moto, it was perfectly accepted to, you know, if the big cars and trucks were stopped, you just hop over to the right and just keep on going, you know. And sure enough, traffic started slowing down, and I was the last individual in a particular line of motos that were just snaking through the right side of traffic. And, you know, it would go 3 and 4 wide, and then when it got back to me, I was an individual rider, kind of the last of this group. And we got to a point where it kind of was going to get bottlenecked, and we had to filter back in, and traffic started picking up on the left side of us. And so traffic was moving pretty good next to us. And we got around, I don't know if it was a fence or a wall or something, but we got around it, and I started back, and I'm following all these other motos. And You know, in a third world country, being a Westerner, if something were to happen to me, there's nobody that's coming for me. There's no like 911, they're going to come haul butt for me, right? If I go down and I'm unconscious, we knew that we were probably going to get robbed. Somebody was probably going to take our moto, and they were going to leave us there until somebody showed up, you know, that would care for us. So that's always in the back of your mind. I also, because law enforcement over there is corrupt, I would carry bribe money with me, which was separate from my wallet. Sometimes I actually carried two wallets, or I concealed what I needed in other ways. And for the same reason, you know, you get, you know, a lot of these cops, traffic cops, you know, they're making $2 a day, and you know, you give them $10, that's a week's worth of work, you know, and they're going to let you go, you know, and so you had to be really careful with that type of stuff. Anyway, so that's the type of environment we're in, right? So as I'm looking ahead, traffic now is passing me on the left, so they're going faster than myself, but I'm still behind this group of motos, and I could see that they were slowing down because the ground was soft and uneven. But everyone was making it through this one area, and it was kind of my turn I was just getting ready to hit that stretch. And there was a large concrete truck to the left of me. I'll never forget it. And I enter into this sandy, loose dirt shoulder portion of the road. And I remember that what I'm telling you is exactly what happened. It is unexplainable, but I'm going to tell you what exactly happened. I am trying to be careful, obviously, because of all these things. And I'm picking my way through there, and I would say traffic's probably going 20 to 30 miles an hour. Doesn't seem fast, but there's a big truck, concrete truck, right to my left. So much so, like the wheel where I'm sitting, the wheel is, you know, about head high. I am going a little bit faster than the truck, so I'm actually getting ahead of the truck, and I'm looking at what's in front of me, and I realize I got to get on the road because I'm not going to be able to navigate what's ahead of me. And so, I mean, obviously I'm not just jerking the handlebars over, I'm trying to ease over. Well, what happened, I think, was my wheel caught the side of the pavement, and my whole bike, I just started falling to my left. And I remember looking to the left, and out of my peripheral, I was going down below the bumper of that concrete truck. I specifically remember that my head was now almost lower than the bumper. It was like slow motion. And I remember thinking, I mean, you know, I've had this happen several times in my life in situations that are very dangerous. It is absolutely true that when your adrenaline dumps, things go into slow motion and you are literally an observer. Everything becomes crystal clear. Sounds are sometimes muffled, sometimes very clarified, but you are able to think super fast. And I remember thinking, well, this is it. This is it. I knew that when I hit the ground, number one, that truck driver probably didn't even know I was there. Probably couldn't see out and see me. Even if he did know I was there, I knew he had no time to stop. And I knew those tires were unforgiving. And it was a concrete truck. I knew I was dead. I knew I was gonna be crushed, and I knew I was gonna die in that moment. There's no doubt in my mind. If you could have stopped time, if we could stop time and go right back to that very moment that I'm talking about and have a conversation with me, I would be 100% confident that I was going to die in the next few seconds. I knew it because there was nothing I could do. I didn't have time to put my leg down. I was going too fast. I knew that there was just no way to get out of this. And I just remember a very heavy sense of peace, like it'll be all right. I also thought that there was no way my wife would ever know where I was, even though she would have been traveling later up that same road. She never would have known it was me laying there. They would never have heard from me again. There was no way to alert anybody, right? Like, I mean, it was a bad deal. And so all that was going through my mind. And it was almost like I made my peace in that moment. And I felt perfectly calm. I was like, well, I'm here. I'm doing something good, and it's okay. It's all right. And I knew I mean, the things I remember thinking was like, this sucks. This is really going to hurt, but probably not for long. And I just remember as I was looking to the left that I was dropping below the bumper. So whatever that angle is of the bike. Now, what I'm going to tell you that happened next, I have no explanation for. I absolutely cannot explain this. Those were my final thoughts. I resigned myself to the fact that this was going to happen. The next thought I had was, what in the heck is going on? And I don't know if it was divine intervention. I have my feelings. I believe it was, but some people, are not into that. But the next conscious thought I had, I was in front of that truck, right side up, driving on pavement. I went from leaned over, falling in one instant, to the next being right side up in front of that truck. Perfectly in control. Nothing. Everyone's still moving. And there was an Australian bank probably a quarter mile down the road. It's called ANZ. So ANZ, the Australians pronounce Z, ANZ, big blue building. And I pulled into that. It's not even a parking lot, but I pulled into the front of that building, and I just shook. The adrenaline was real. I was just coming down from that, and I was just shaking. And for whatever reason, last night with the weather and everything like that got me to thinking about this incident, and I wanted to share it. There's no way that I drove out of that. Absolutely no way. And that's not even the craziest story I have about supernatural things that occurred while we were there. But, people will ask, why does God allow this to happen? And I asked myself a lot about that incident. I was like, why did that happen? What purpose then do I have in my life to seek out? Because 99.9999% of the time in that situation you die. No doubt in my mind. I saw it in Cambodia. I saw it in other countries I've been in and worked in. Traffic's crazy, and it just takes a second, and boom, something happens and you're dead. And for whatever reason, that occurred, and I eventually got control of myself, and I drove home the rest of the way and told my wife about it. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And it's just one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in my life. So, people can argue, is there a God? Is he in control? Does he control the minute details of life? I believe he does. I believe he is in control. I believe he's there. And he just doesn't always cause the bad things. He causes a lot of good things as well. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Just a story from the shop. It's kind of how we do it out here in Hoosier Life. Till the next one, you guys take care. This is Mark.